Okay, to make a pinch pot, you take a piece of clay, and then you want to have about enough that's going to kind of be, I don't know, a softball size, baseball size, enough to fit in your hands. So you're going to take this piece of clay, and you're just going to squish it together. See how there's a bunch of cracks in it right now? I don't want to have any cracks in my clay. So I'm just squeezing it between my hands so it can get to be a circle kind of shape. And then you can kind of roll it on the table if you want to. You can toss it between your hands. You want to really hit it into the palm of your hand. Okay, now there might be a few lines or cracks in it. That's going to be fine. So now you can see that it's pretty much all smoothed out. There's just a few cracks. I could even take my thumb and smooth those out together. And it pretty much fits in the palm of my hand. Okay, but if I close my hands over it, it pretty much stays enclosed. So that's a good size. If you feel like it's too big, or if you're doing a project where you need some extra pieces for later, you can just take your fingers and you can just squeeze and twist and pinch off a piece. And this is a good time too. You can check in the inside here, and if there aren't any air pockets or anything, that's a good sign, because it means that your clay is well squeezed together, well wedged together. You don't want to have any air pockets in there. So I might want to smooth this part out again from where I took that top piece off. And then I'm ready to make my pinch pot. So what I'm going to do, first thing is I'm going to take one hand and I'm going to hold on to the piece. The other hand, I'm going to use my thumb, kind of find the middle. I'm going to push my thumb down into the ball of clay. Now I want to feel that I don't want to push all the way through the bottom, but I want it to be a little bit thinner, not too thin. So now there's a hole, okay, in my ball of clay. It's not very wide, it's just about the size of my thumb. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingers like this and then go around it like that. And I'm going to squeeze my thumb out towards my fingers on the outside. And what that does, I'm going to start at the bottom. You can see the side of the clay is going to start to bulge out. So I'm going to do that all the way around, pushing my thumb. I'm pushing my thumb out against my fingers like this. So I'm going to push and turn, push and turn, push and turn, push and turn. I'm turning the clay like this, and I'm moving my hand the other way towards me. I'm turning the clay away from me and turning my hand towards me. So you're turning the clay and squeezing with your hands. Now you can see that the hole is getting bigger. Now if you looked at it from this side, it looks like this. I'll do the top section. I just did the bottom section. I'm going to do the top. So I'm going to take this, squeeze my thumb out towards my hands, turn it, squeeze, turn, squeeze and turn. So I'm making this wall thinner. But at the same time, it's also making this come up and making this into a bowl shape. So I'm just turning and squeezing. And you can see that because the clay is being stretched, it is getting some little cracks in it, but those are fine because they're going to get trimmed out later on. Now, the bottom is a little bit thicker than the top is. The top is a good thickness, about 1/4 inch. So if I think that the bottom is too thick, I can go out on the bottom and I can push out with my thumb and move around and still widen that bottom out a little bit. So now I have kind of a bowl shape. So I'm going to take my thumbs a little bit, I can set it on my table, and you can just kind of sweep your thumbs along and smooth out some of those finger bumps. And the same thing on this top part. Just by using your thumb, you can get rid of a lot of those little surface cracks. You want to close them up right now, because if you don't now, when they dry, they'll have a tendency to get bigger and keep spreading. Now, things to be careful of. You don't want it to be too thin, okay? This is way too thin. You don't want that. If it gets too thin, it's going to be really hard to put back together, and it's going to be a weak point later on. So, that's basically how you make a pinch pot.